Hola, bienvenue, welcome. Hiya, welcome to Europe, the Dongers of Runeterra, and me, Sith Holocron, with another Donger deck discussion. And this time today, we are going to do a deck that the combined power of its two champions is an absolutely almighty total of 2-2. Yep, we are going to be that stupid, and we are going to make a Teemo Zoe deck. Okay, so why? Well, because they're 1/1s, and they're started as 1/1s, and their stats are 1. It's all 1s. Teemo, I assume you already know how it works. 15 poison puff caps, he levels to an enormous 2-2, but then any more Nexus strikes, and he's doubling the amount of poison puff caps in there, which can actually result in death. So that's okay, as long as you can keep him alive. And Zoe, she creates a super cool star chart in hand, which is this card, that costs 2, and you get to invoke a celestial card that costs 3 or less, which, if you kind of think about it, if you add discarding a card but get a 1/1 unit, you get to invoke a celestial card that costs 3 or less for 1 mana, and that's the Spacey Sketcher, which we're running 2 of. So why am I running Spacey Sketchers? Why am I running Poro Cannons? Well, Zoe's level up is you need to do 10 cards with 10 different names. Now, you're not going to sit with a pen and a piece of paper and write down you've played Zoe, Teemo, Ballistic Bolt, and Pale Cascade. There's 4. But invoking and creation of cards is key to leveling up Zoe, because Zoe's level up is fantastic. So yes, she's as elusive as Teemo, but she says, for the rest of the game, when you summon an ally, grant its keywords to every single thing on your side of the board. Every ally. Everything. And then when you Nexus strike, you create a Behold the Infinite, which normally costs 2, but now costs 0. Now that's brilliant, because then you can start invoking everything. You can get in big dragons, you can get the 2 sisters, one of which is elusive, which would be great, and a lifesteal sister, that's really good as well. You can stun enemies, you can get celestial cards, you can get challenger. There's a whole ton of keywords, and the keyword thing is key, because when you then put them all out, everything should, with the amount of elusive that is in this deck, this mind twisted fucking deck that I've decided to make, I can't get elusive to work in its old form, so let's try and get it to work with Zoe and Teemo. And it's about 50-50. It either works really well or you get slaughtered. And 2 decks slaughter the shit out of this deck. Anything with Go Hard in it eats it alive. I mean, Go Hard does 1. Goodbye, Zoe. Goodbye, Teemo. And then when you pack your bags and everything gets hit for 5, good night. You have completely lost. It's almost an auto concede at the start. Hit that escape button and hit surrender. That's pretty much what you would need to do straight away, to be fair. But fearsomes are real bad, because we need to level up Zoe. That's 10 different cards, and they can beat you in 6 turns with the right amount of fearsomes, like the 3/2 spiders and Mistress and all that sort of stuff, and then getting another Mistress to turn into a 3/2, and then dropping down a Wraith Caller to make it a 4/2, and all of a sudden it's completely out of control and you're dead, and you can't cope with either of those 2 decks at all. But against other things, it's actually really good against Soraka decks. It's really quite good, believe it or not, against dragons, because it takes them to at least turn 5 to get their first dragon down. By turn 7, they're starting to set everything up, and they're normally hitting to win on turns 8 and 9. By 8 and 9, we've won. And we've won through elusiveness, because every single person has got, the keyword of every other thing that's ever been put down after she levels, which is brilliant. So what do? Well, I thought, right, okay, cards with different names, that's great. That's great. Right, so let's go. Poro Cannon. Get you one of these for 1. Or you can use this, which is 1 card, and then you get to put a Daring Poro down again. So the Poro Cannon spell is an extra card, getting you an extra Poro but they cost 2. Both elusive. Spacey Sketcher, put that down. You discard a card that you don't need from your mulligan, because you want Spacey Sketcher round 1. Poro Cannon's far better to play late on to make sure you get the elusive. That's super critical. You can play 1 early, keep 1 right to the end. Spacey Sketcher gets something that is kind of good for the early game. We're only running 2 of these. I kind of normally get 2 of these. What you want really, really, really is a Spacey Sketcher for your opening hand. If you could go, I want these 4 cards. Sketcher, Teemo, Zoe, Ballistic Bot, those 4. Or Poro Cannon, Teemo, Zoe, and Ballistic Bot. Because they create things. Now, for running 2 Sketchers, I've and ahed about what a next card should be. So let's hit this favorite button. 16 spells is the top end I'm prepared to go to in a deck where I want a lot of different cards and spells. So the spells will either be health or gaining you something or doing something. Okay, so you can level Zoe, but it's keeping Zoe alive. And Mystic Shot, you know, there are so many ways to do 1 damage. Withering Wail eats this deck alive. Absolutely eats it alive. But if you can manage to hold off the storm, if you look at this, I've only 2 cards that cost 5. Everything else costs 4 or less. And there's only 5 cards that cost 4. So 7 out of 40 gives you 33 cards that cost 3 or less. Super, super low mana curve. You can play 3 units, 3 spells, 2 units and a spell, 3 spells and a unit. By round 7, which is when you need to be like going for the kill, you can drop everything and go. Just make sure you've got the elusive. Okay, so we've talked about Teemo. Teemo's pretty good. He's like a secondary or even a tertiary win condition because we're not really doing anything else with Teemo really. And Zoe, we need to keep her alive. Okay, now Augment. This is a brilliance. He's brilliant. In my opinion, Targon's Peak and the Plaza are the 2 best cards probably in this expansion, but Ballistic Bot is the best unit. Yes, he's a 1/3, but every single time you augment, which is when you play a created card, and look what we're creating. Then that's creating. Zoe creates it if it does a Nexus Strike. All this kind of carry on. There's a lot of cards that we are creating to be able to put down onto something which is all really good, and Zoe continually does that. So Ballistic Bot gets out of control. You normally probably get him to about 5-2 or 5-1 in this deck. The augment decks with Victor, you'd be hitting closer to 8s with this. And remember that the Ignition is another card that is created that deals 1 to the enemy nexus, and that's 1 of the 10 to level up the girl. Okay, in decks it needs even more health. This is great. So pick a follower. So anything but a champion or a landmark. Create a copy of it in hand. So you've played the card and then it becomes a 1/1. And that is brilliant to put on several things. But in decks that want the same card coming out and out again, you know, so in like Ezreal decks, because this, you know, this is a PNZ card, right? So augment decks, Ezreal decks, things where you want extra puff caps to get extra spells, you know, just it's a 3 of. But in this deck, we're only running 2 of it. But it is burst speed, so it can't get stopped. And you can, you know, keep your Ballistic Bots alive, which is kind of good. You can't hit it on Zoe or Teemo, but you can hit it on Sketcher. You can hit it on another Poro if you want. It's a good card, but we're only running 2 of. Goat, super solid. Probably one of the MVPs in any Lee Sin deck. It is now kind of floated around a few other decks because of its utility, and its utility is that it creates a gem. The gem also costs 1. It's also a created card. You heal an ally 1 and you grant it +1 power. Now you've got to put this all in at burst speed before like spells get fired at you or you go into attack or defense. You can't cast it then. But again, it's another created card. Pale Cascade. Now this is one of the cards that's going to keep our Zoe alive. Teemo's Misdirection. Okay, Teemo is Misdirection. So if you get Teemo and Zoe round 1, put Teemo down first. because Zoe does get hammered round one with these, and you don't mind really losing him. So my suggestion is on round one, if you have a Pale Cascade in hand, you can drop Zoe, but not on round one. So you don't play anything. You could play Poro Cannon to get 2 Daring Poros to start off your elusive campaign. But Pale Cascade and Zoe can get played in the same round. Now you only get +1, but she only goes to 2/2 when she levels anyway. So now she's a 3/2. Forget about the Nightfall. It keeps Zoe alive. So we're also doing this. But Pale Cascade draws a card if you play it second. So anytime after that, you will get to draw another card, which is fantastic. There is also Sunblessed Vigor. Again, please put this on Zoe. Zoe is amazing. And I mean it sincerely. She is fantastic. We've got to try and keep her. So I'm going to actually put it another way. What you really want is a Teemo and a Zoe, a Pale Cascade, and a Mentor of the Stones, or the Sunblessed Vigor. But that's a one-of, so the chances of you getting Pale Cascade are much higher. Pale Cascade, Mentor of the Stones, Zoe, and probably Ballistic Bot. That would be what you want. Don't do anything on round one. On round two, put down Zoe, and then Sunblessed Vigor, she becomes a 1/3, because that's Grant. So now they have to hit something with their 3 mana, and round two, if they haven't played a unit, she's grand. She's absolutely good. So, Goat, as I say, will then heal her 1 more and give her an extra damage, which is pretty good. Pale Cascade will get you something else. And then, because we are an elusive thing, let's pick an elusive thing that for some reason started at 1/2, which is atrocious. Atrocious. But you get lifesteal and an extra health. But again, on a level Zoe, to put that down so every ally on your side of the board has now got the elusive keyword is brilliant. We've talked about Vigor. These all die so easy. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's our champions die die to the wind. So we need to try and keep them alive. The best way of trying to keep them alive is drop this on 3. Now again, in the early Lee Sin decks with Zed, grant my supported ally 2/2. Now that is phenomenal. Added to which, when this dies, because it's also a 1/1, but even if people are whaled, they'll probably try and whale you beforehand, but they can't whale you because it costs 5. You can then put this onto Zoe, and Zoe is now a 3/3. When this dies, you get 3 gems to be able to bump it up even more, which is class. So that's why we're running 3 of these. Now, I said Sparklefy was a brand new card, which it is. Iterative Improvement is a brand new card, which it is. So is this. Remember, we are in P&Z. They love their white cats. Things are all very, very strange indeed. But he's also Augment. So when you play a created card, it gets +1. And guess what else he is? He's also elusive. So we've went down a completely different thing. And the fact that this one is augmented and elusive, he's one of the key characters to be able to keep you up. Now, we're playing so many created cards and different cards to try and level Zoe. When you put these down, this is why we're running 3 of these, which is why the Sunblessed Vigor has went down to 1. I originally had it as a 3, but it's not. It is now this, and that's far better. Okay. Now, again, any created card that you play at all, even if you've already played it, increases any augmented character that you've got. If you have a level Zoe, then everything is augmented, and your power goes up by 1 every single time. And an Android, if you drop it down, will give every unit augment and elusive. So there's more ways of getting elusive. Bastion is a brilliant card. I don't like it that it's 4, but it needed it because it was becoming problematic. Burst speed, grant an ally 1/1, so again, more health, but then you get Spell Shield, which means everything gets Spell Shield if Zoe is literally leveled. Okay? we need to play lots of different cards. Let's create lots of different cards. Let's summon different cards. Let's invoke cards. And that's what the whole basis of this Zoe Teemo deck does. If that isn't good enough, then for 4, when you draw this, it costs 2. So this card, if you can play it, and you should be able to play this anytime, you set an ally to 4/4. That's madness and one of your win conditions. Because if you've got everything going through and only one elusive, but you only need to do 4 damage, this does it. It also gives you 4 health too. Very hard to stop this. That's why we're running Suit Up as a 3 of. Brilliant in Fiora decks, really good in Ezreal decks, really good in Lulu decks. It's really good here for exactly the same reason. Low health, poor attack units, Suit Up, brilliant. So, what's the last one? Well, it's Blessing of Targon. Grant an ally 3/3. Again, we're only running 2 of these. These are expensive, but to be able to keep all these things alive is how you win. And then level up Zoe, do what you need to do. There's a lot of ways to be able to play things here. So if we look at our thing here, we have 24 different units, of which that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units in total. But that's also a spell. That's a spell giving you another unit. That's gems. That's more gems. That's spell shield. You can level Zoe up real quick. Real quick. I have seen one Zoe Teemo deck and it had literally 2s of everything. So it had 20 different cards to try and level up Zoe. No, it doesn't work. This is much better. Much more consistent at keeping your champions alive. Zoe has to stay alive. She is your primary concern. There is no doubt about it at all. She has to live for your deck to win. It's about a 50-50 win rate so far. I may tinker around with this a little bit more. I think Sunbless Vigor may actually be better than Pale Cascade. We might go to 2-2 in those. However, the card draw with this is probably better. So this is where I'm at with it right now. The deck code, including the hashtag in front of it. So if you guys play on mobile phones, you can just go on here, watch the video on your phone, click it, and it'll go straight across into your game client. So thank you, Dodo, for that. All our videos will now have the hashtag in the front. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Sith Holocron. The deck code that we've just talked about is in the pinned comments. I'll come and join us on our Discord. That's also there. If you enjoy what we do, because we do a ton of content, I hope you had a nice Christmas. We're going to put this out on Boxing Day. So happy Boxing Day if you celebrate it. If you don't know what that is, it's where, you know, rich people box things to give to servants and let them have their Christmas Day the day after the uber rich landowners had theirs. And that's why the 26th of December every year is called Boxing Day. Go back to your hovel and have a slice of bread that we've put in the box for you. Happy Boxing Day. Enjoy your new year. It's not been the best year. Let's hope next year's miles better. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Till the next one. Take it easy. Dongers out.